Righto, so we've got our cat moving, we've got a shoot going with the colourful effect. Probably the next thing we need to do is shoot something. So the best way to do that is we need to get something to shoot firstly. Which I've gone to animals, because, why not shoot an animal? I was looking for a bat, to be fair. They're on the creepier scale, so we're allowed to shoot them. Right, okay. So I've got a bat here to shoot. I've got my cat over here to shoot it. So basically, if I just start with, okay, when the game starts, we will tell it to forever wait a little bit of time, and I'll show you why. 2 seconds and go looks next costume. Let's just test that. Okay, so we've got it flapping. Righto. So if we want to, I would say we need to point it towards the cat. Now there is a one that's called point towards mouse pointer, and I can then choose cat. The issue with that is if I do that and I put this thing is over here, or say we make it to the point where the game could like jump this object, it would then start floating upwards and you'd get all this up and down movement, and if it was too high our projectile could actually go underneath it. So in terms of moving to point towards cat, it has some of its limitations. So really what we want to do is just go backwards and forwards on there. So what I would say is we're going to say this one always starts from the right hand side and moves left. So we'll say change X by, and if I look down here, so you can see X here is a positive, so if it goes that way, it goes negative. So if I say change X by negative, I don't know, 8, let's just try that. Okay, it's flapping quite slowly, but we get the point. So maybe if I say 0.1 and it moves negative 15. Let's try. We'll just drag them back a bit, give us a bit of space. Right, that looks good. So you notice I keep having to drag this thing back all the time, because effectively I'd like it to start where it was pretty much like only... You're not helping me. You're really not helping me. Just inside the screen kind of thing, right? And if I click on the eye, it tells me where its current location is. So if I say just up a bit, up a bit, up a bit, up a bit, right. Go to this location. So I would say at the start, go to this location, because I don't want to put that in the forever, otherwise it would forever kind of stick it there. And I want to start there and then go that way. So I'd say go there forever, keep looping this, and then somewhere in the loop I'd want to say if touching the ball, die. Okay, so we're going to do that. So I'll go control if sensing touching the ball, because that's what I'm shooting, if you hadn't noticed, the ball. Then I would just say looks. We'll just do a hide at this stage, and then we'll look at an effects like a explode effect or something. And we will go. If we ever tell an object to hide, we always need to tell it to show at the start. Because if I test this once and then it hides, and then I say start game again, I've never told it to show back up in the first place. So it'll get shot once, hide, and then forever be hidden, never to be seen again. So we've got this, and I go, bat. There you go, that worked. So we can retest that. Cool. So like I mentioned, what I could say then is, great, but what happens if the bat touches me? Nothing. So what I would probably want to do is say there's probably like 2 conditions in here. It would be if touching the ball then, oh no, okay, so then otherwise it'll be if touching, sorry, there's not two conditions, otherwise it could just be not touching anything, because it'd be touching the ball, or touching the cat, or not touching anything. So if I just duplicate this and say if touching cat, that's the best place to do it. It's a little bit, well, it's fine to do it there, but it would confuse people. I could say if touching cat, stop the whole game, right? So I could say stop all, and the game stops. And I could probably put a little message up first saying looks, say, you did. Oh, it's you're dead. Game over. Right. Okay. So we can test that now. So clapping, clapping, clapping. And it probably hasn't had enough time to say this before it stops everything, because it will just run through the code straight away, and it hasn't really had enough time to actually visually execute this. So we might have to put a looks say for, and like 0.2 of a second. That's plenty of time. Copy, paste, get rid of you. Click. Righto. So let's run this now. Run into it. It doesn't freeze it on the screen. I was hoping it was going to stay frozen. That's not helpful. I was hoping that was going to get stuck up there, but it flashes. Okay. Let's say stop other scripts. Stop the script. Oh, okay. Right. Okay. So this is part of the issue is I'm on the bat trying to tell the cat to do something, and realistically I should be on the cat telling the cat to do something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, take some of this code anyway, and drag it and drop it on the cat. Then I can drag it and drop it there to get rid of it, and then, oh look, there you go, it's come on the cat. So now on the cat I'd have to say events when green flag clicked. When green flag clicked. It's not quite that late. Right, and I'll just move this out of the way. Right, okay, so forever if touching, well, we don't want the cat touching the cat, we want to say if cat touching ball, say you're dead for 1 second, and then go, or we can do a cool effect here, you like this, repeat, yeah, 5 times will be fine. Looks, and there's this change effect, and we don't want to change color, we want to change ghost, which is their way of saying how see-through something is. So I will say, because I'm doing it by 5, I could say change by 20, because 20 times 5 is 100, and so once the ghost effect has gone from 0 to 100% ghost, or 100% see-through, it means you can't see anything. So at the start of the game we'd also have to tell our say set ghost effect to 0, and then this would make it go like that. So right, let's test this now. So as we go through here, it gets us, and then it fades out. So there you go. Right. In here I'd also tell it to if sensing touching cat. So all I want to do is, because the issue was when it touched the cat, right, it kind of just kept doing its thing and moved on by, and I don't know if I like that, so I probably want it to keep doing its thing for a little bit and then stop as well. So what I'll do is I'll tell it to wait for, I don't know, 3 seconds is a long time, 2 seconds, and then we'll say stop all there, and let's test that. Right, it goes there. Okay, so a little bit funny there at the end, but that's okay. So we got that effect going, and then the other thing is, what I want to do is I want this bat to like explode and go to bits when we shoot it, because hey, it's not cool killing something if it doesn't look really dead when you get it. We could have done the ghost effect, but you know. Right, so I'm going to say we'll use that one. So if I'm going to right mouse and duplicate that, goes down the bottom, and I'm going to just rename this for purely for my purpose. Go explode 1, and then currently what you see down here is there's these two modes. One's called vector mode, one's called bitmap. Vector mode is basically everything's these kind of paths and it's real clean and crisp, but what you can't do is rub something out, because it doesn't kind of work that way. So in order to do that, you convert it to bitmap mode, which will make it a little bit grainy, but it'll also give out your rubber tools and everything. So first of all, let's zoom in. Probably not quite that much. Right, okay. So effectively I've started to blow it up. So what I would do, rather than being really kind of gory about it, I'm going to punch a hole in it first. Oh, I said I was not being gory. And then I'm going to kind of select, hold on, I'll select, if I can get the select right, I'll select half of it, and then I'll just tell it to kind of, my mouse is moving as well. Right, oh, I've got bits, that's okay, I quite like it. Don't do that. Undo. No, redo that one. Select, go on, let's drag again. Yeah, let me move you. Come on now. I'll just have to tap it and just enjoy the fun of the background. Like this, and then the idea is it's kind of starting to fragment apart a bit, so I'll just rub it out a bit more. Just make these bits a bit kind of less clean. Right, so that's that one part. So I'm just going to duplicate this and this explode too, and this explosion is going to kind of be a bit bigger. Right, those two holes look not quite so great. So you can change the rubber size down here, and so I'll kind of go. Right, and then duplicate again, and then effectively this has really been quite obliterated. And this effect's going to be quite fast, and then I'll just basically duplicate one more time, make the rubber quite big. I see quite big. Right, there we go. And then I'll shrink the rubber back up just to kind of to Swiss cheesy these bits of wing. Right, so it's going to kind of just do that. So it's just going to go start there, and do that. So doing this explode effect's quite cool, but it does cause an issue of, in my script I say go to next costume the whole time, but these are part of the costume, so I don't want it as it's flying to me to suddenly just keep exploding. I mean, we can do this, hit play, and then you can see the explode effect, but see it? So that's what it's going to look like when it blows up, which is quite cool, which is exactly what I was after. So what I'm going to say in here is another if, because I want to say if the costume number hits basically, see how it's got number 3 here? If it hits number 3, if it's going to hit number 3, just go back to 1, so just loop between these two only. This is reserved for dying. So I'll say if, because we get our operators to our greater and less than, you need to get used to these ones when you're doing coding. So if looks, and down the bottom here we've got costume number. If costume number is greater than 2, because it's 3 or more. If costume number is greater than 2, then we'll say switch to costume, the top one, which is the first one. So that'll just be in there. Okay, and then I'll say if touching ball, don't want to hide now, we'll say switch to costume, explode 1, and I'm just checking I'm playing. Still playing. Sorry, I've got cats running around the background. Okay, so in terms of this, I've got explode 1, and I basically want to say go to the next. Rather than being quite tricky about it, I'm just gonna say in here, wait 0.2 of a second, maybe 0.1. It's 0.1 there. When we tested it, looked quite good. So I'm just gonna drag that bit out and go duplicate, then hide on the bottom, and you guessed it, 4. Right, then we're going to chuck that in, and our code's going to just a bit bigger. Right, so if we play this now, I shoot it, there we go. That's pretty good, like as a game, that working well in terms of the shoot. The next stage will be getting it to kind of keep repeating, and then probably get a score going. And the other thing is maybe getting the bat to go faster and faster as your score gets higher, because like that game's cool and all, but it becomes quite boring if it's just very, very easy. Like any game that you put on God mode, it's fun for a good half hour or so, but the fact that you cannot die and nothing can beat you, then makes it kind of the novelty wear off after a while anyway. So you need a game where it poses a challenge, but not too much that it's frustrating. So this is why you start easy and get harder, and that's pretty much how all games work in the universe, within reason, 90% of them. So cool, I will leave it at that.